Okay, so it is another season here in our garden, and we are so excited that it's warm weather and we can get back in here. We've got a pretty big project that we've got to get started in here, and that is turning all of our rows into raised garden beds. Now, the reason we want to turn these into raised beds as opposed to having the rows is not because the rows don't work. We have produced a ton of food out of the rows as they are today. However, we've decided, since we do want to eventually be as self-sufficient as we possibly can, we understood that we needed to increase our volume of production. And the only way to do that is to increase the amount of beds that we have. So basically what we want to do, or the thought behind what we're going to do, is turn these into beds so that we can double the size of our growing surface. And so we're hoping, again, that by doing this, this will get us one step closer to being self-sufficient. Now, being the fact that our ground is not completely level, we want to start on this back row because it is the straightest, best looking row that we have. And it should be the easiest way, or the easiest row for me to get started on, kind of get my feet wet on this project, so then I can do the next three. I've got all the materials I need. I've got all the tools I need. Let's get started. Okay, so in order to make one side, I'm gonna need 16 63 3/4 inch 4-inch boards. So I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting 63 3/4 boards and try and get a big pile ready for us, and then start putting them together. Well, I think that's going to do it for the night. But I did start making some of our 2x4 stakes. These are 18 inches tall. I'm going to have 16 inches worth of boards up here. We're modeling these off of the original beds that I made last year. So it's going to be very similar in design. So I still have quite a few of these left to make, but we're going to tackle that tomorrow. Good morning, folks. It is just before 7 a.m. I think. It's supposed to rain later today, so I'm actually going to get started on cutting more of our 2x4 posts. And let's see if we can't get one of these beds made. Okay, so we got the master builder here, Jen, and now that we've got all the components, we're going to start putting this big Lego thing putting it together.
You kind of really need to let them see what kind of a mess you got going on here.
This is organized chaos at its finest. At its finest. 31 7/8. We have to remember that number, 31 7/8. All right, you ready? Let's get this thing built.
All right.
Let's do it. So the first thing I need to do is set my posts and run a line for the first side. Okay, it's been a long afternoon, and honestly, we started recording as we were attempting to assemble this over the row and found out real quick it took, I don't know, quite a while to figure out how to put this thing together. And what we found was that it was a hell of a lot easier if we just built it off of the row so that I could actually get inside of it, since the posts here are on the outside. All of my nails have to be on the inside. With the row the way that it was, I can't be inside. So we moved it over here, we built it. It's almost done, but it's late. It's starting to rain. We're exhausted. It took a while for us to actually figure out how to do this. And we still don't even know if this is gonna work. I mean, we put all this time into cutting the pieces, attaching the pieces, but realistically, we've got to get this thing moved over here. Now the problem is all of this here has to be cleaned out on both sides, and what we need to do is hoe all of this material up onto the top of this mound so that we can get down to the ground level on both sides. That's the only way that this thing is going to stay level once we put it into place. So what I thought was going to take, a couple of days is turning into, this is probably going to be more like a week, because tomorrow we're going to tackle getting the weeds cleaned up and all the dirt hoed up onto the top. We're going to move the box into position, and with a little luck, get it all kind of leveled out and squared away, and get ready for dirt. So, and then once we're done with that row, then we get to go to the row number 2, because we've got to do all 4 of these rows. So this is just number 1. We're already into this job like 2 days, and we're still not done with the first one yet. But I mean, granted, we've been doing some other things as well, but yeah, this is exhausting. But it's okay, because once it's done and once we have the all of these in boxes, life's going to be so much easier for us. So it is well worth all of the struggles that we're having right now. It's well worth it. So, all right, we're going in. So yesterday we left off working on our the raised bed here in the garden. But unfortunately, we can't work on that today, because today we got a different project that came up. Living in this lifestyle, you try to make the best plans that you can for things, but sometimes things just come up that you have to adapt. And that happened today. I got a call today from a neighbor saying that all of our cedar was finished and that I got to go get it. So we've got the small trailer on the truck. I already got this first load here. We're going to head back and get another one, get it all stacked up. I think overall there's probably 3, maybe 4 loads. It's a lot of cedar, and now that it's all cut up and ready, we got to go get it. So we're going to head over there and get that second load. So it took most of the morning. We're actually into the early afternoon already, but we got it all here. We got it covered up. There's about 800 board feet of cedar boards here, ranging in width from 4 inches all the way up to 8 inches, and everything in between. And the majority, about 95% of this, is all just over 10 feet. So we have a lot of projects that we're going to be able to use this with, and we're pretty excited about having it. So, all right, well, we are going to make a run down the road. We were going to go take a look at a potential culvert that we will be able to use this summer when we replace the culvert here on our road. Now, the reason we have to replace the culvert on a town road is because This road here is an unmaintained road, meaning the town no longer maintains it in any way, shape, or form, and it is left to the landowners to fix it if it needs to be fixed. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about whether or not that's fair to the landowners, because, you know, we put in all the money, but anybody in the public can use that road. So then it becomes, well, how much, you know, should we be putting into it? But so the way that I look at this, though, is that Jen and I aren't getting any younger. We do need to have access. We need this road opened and relatively good access in the event that we need an EMS or, you know, whatever. We just want to make sure that we have access through this road. And if that means that as a landowner who actually uses this road, if that means that we need to invest in the road, then so be it. That it's just the way it is, you know, and everybody does get the benefit from it. But you know, case in point, so from about here, this spot, all the way down about a quarter mile, maybe a little bit further, right up to my neighbors, we had a foot of rock brought in to fill this road. The reason we did it is it was unbelievably bad, and so we did bring in a ton of bank run, which is nice big chunky rock, to fill in this road. It did cost us a pretty penny, and it is free for the public to use. I mean, the town owns the road, they just don't maintain it, but that's okay. At least Jen and I can get by now, get in and out, and not have to worry about spending unnecessary money in repairs on our vehicles. All right, well, enough of that. We're gonna head down and take a look at this culvert. So we came down here to look at the culvert, and unfortunately it's not gonna work. It's completely broken all the way down the bottom. It's kind of a bummer. It's a really nice culvert too. Here, you want to see it? See that one right there? Right there. We were hoping we were going to be able to use it, but on this side, all the way, it is cracked. All right, well, that really sucks, man. I'm bummed.
We'll have to save our pennies and get one.
Save our pennies and get one. I like that. All right, well, we're heading back to the homestead. So now that we're back from our little drive down the road to go look at that culvert that is unfortunately not going to work, we had to get some firewood into the house. So that's done, which reminds me, I got to fill the firewood shed up here. Get this thing filled up for next year. So now we've got another little project that's come up. The timing is right, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a minute. But first, I need to go get a maul. So why do I need a maul? And more importantly, why am I looking at this little snowman? Well, it's because the post that this snowman is on, Frosty has pushed it up out of the ground. So what I want to attempt to do is take the bucket off and then pound it, see if it'll go in. Okay, so I am going to attempt to pound that post into the ground a little bit. We'll see if I get any headway here. Baby, what's up, boy? That's much better than what it was, but Here, check this out, guys. All right, so this gate looks really good. Now we're going to try to pound that post in, try and level this thing off a little bit. Let's give it a shot. Well, look at that. Holy smokes. That is unbelievable. When we first put this on, put the gates on, this fence was like this. This fence, oh man, this fence was down into the ground. We couldn't even move it. And after pounding it, they look damn near perfect, like the day we put them in. Now, I will have to eventually, maybe next year or 2 years from now, replace that one, replace this one, put some concrete in. But for this summer, this is going to work just fine. So it's been a few days since we've been here. Actually, it's been more like a week since we've been in the garden working on this project. Unfortunately, we've just had so much other stuff going on. We've really got to set our priorities straight with the time of year it is. So now that we're done doing all the other stuff that we needed to get done, we can get back to the garden and start making these boxes. Now we have this box here that's made. The next thing I've got to do now is I've got to go prep the row. I can't just take this box and throw it on top of it. It's just simply not going to work. So I've got to get over here. I got to get some weeds pulled. I got to get a hoe, and I got to get this bed or this row ready. The black flies are absolutely terrible, and as a matter of fact, I know because I can see them on the phone that you can see them. We've got a smudge pot going, but they're still really bad right here. So, but we just got to keep working. Okay, so we've got this first raised bed in place, but I've got some work to do to it. On the bottom here, I'm gonna have to add some more paneling on the bottom just to make sure that the dirt doesn't fall out the bottom. But that shouldn't take very long. I'm gonna do that now. I think overall it looks really good. As best as we could have done given the situation. So the next step, like I said, is we're gonna go ahead and put some boards on the bottom right here, and then we're gonna flatten all the dirt out and go from there. All right, so now that I have the boards added to the bottom, which are these boards right here, now we're gonna go ahead and flatten out the mound. We're gonna pull all the dirt from this side over to this side. You know, in hindsight, I should have done this when we originally did these, but we didn't have materials. We didn't even think about doing it like this. Yeah, this has been quite a project. It's going to take a lot longer than we anticipated. I mean, just building this one has taken us almost 3 days combined between cutting the boards, getting the boards ready, figuring out how to assemble it, starting the assembly, and then today, with getting it installed and then having to finish up all the trim. When I go to build this one, I'm going to build it in place, and rather than using nails, and instead of putting the boards on the inside, we're putting them on the outside. Doing it this way is just going to take too long, and so I think if I can, once we get this thing finished and we can start on this one, we'll do it a little differently, and hopefully it'll come out, or at least it'll go a little easier. Because honestly, this sucks. Sorry for the hair knot, but got to keep it on because of the stupid black flies. If you've never been to Maine in spring, don't come. Mean it. It's brutal. I mean, they're flying all over my head, all over my face. And this is just getting started. So it's yeah, that sucks. Anyways, so we've got this first bed done. We do want to keep those in place simply for stability and the integrity of the bed, because these things are 21 feet long. This bed's actually going to be 22.8, so that's long. I'm doing it differently. I'm going to build it in place this time. So I've already built the one end, and we're going to build this side. We're going to start building this side all the way to the end, build another end piece, and then what we'll be able to do is pull all the dirt from this side over to this side, and then line up this line here and build out that wall. So I'm hoping it goes a little bit faster, because like I said, building that one off site or off the mound and then bringing it over here, that was just an absolute nightmare. I don't really want to do that again. So hey folks, so we have been busting our ass out here in the garden, and so far we built another one and we are building the third one now. This has been a hell of a project, one that has taken significantly more time than I had anticipated, which is fine, but it's been tedious and it's been long and it's been grueling and challenging trying to figure out how to do it. But we figured it out, and I think we should be done with this one in a couple hours, and then we'll get started on this one. But I want to point out one of the things that we've had to do. So I can't get the tractor in here to fill this up with dirt. So what we did is, when we finished this one, we took the dirt from this row and we moved it into this one. We then took dirt from this row and moved it into this one once this was finished. We'll take the dirt from this row and move it into this one. That way, when we come in to fill this in a few weeks, I only have to drive right up to here and then just fill this fourth row. So overall, it's going well. Like I said, though, it has been challenging. And hopefully, you know, it's supposed to rain later today, so hopefully I can get this one done here. And then at least get this one started, and who knows, maybe I'll get that one done too. These aren't easy to build. They're 3 feet wide. This one here is 21 feet 6 inches. This is 22 feet. This is just under 22 feet. It's been a lot of wood, a lot of banging my head up against it, trying to figure it out. But we're getting through it. So, okay, so we are on, I don't know, I've lost track, like day 5, 6 maybe on this project. But basically where we are at now is I am moving dirt from this 4th row to the 3rd row. And we've been doing that, you know, when I built the 1st row, we moved dirt from the 2nd row to the 1st row, et cetera, because I can only get the tractor so far in here. So we're going to continue to work on this row, moving dirt from this row to this one, which will give me the space I need in this row to build the raised bed. Now, unfortunately, it's very similar to this bed, how we have a grade difference. We're going to have one here too. It is what it is. Unfortunately, the ground just is not level. And when I originally built these, I didn't have the means to level this all out. So we're just going to go with it and build them as, you know, as it contours to the ground. And yeah, so hopefully the next time you see me, that row will be done. We'll see. All right, folks, we are finally done. It has taken quite a long time to build these. And we're trying to fight the black flies. Hence why I have my net on. But we got them done. Let's take a look. So we have 4 new raised beds, and basically we built them around the existing rows that we had. Now this one here, this is the one that we built off-site. Built it over here, and then Jen and I carried it and set it in place. Realized that was not going to work. So for the remaining 3, I actually built them on site. Yeah, I think they came out wonderful. A couple things with them. Number 1, they are not aligned, but that's okay because they are following the logs that are at the bottom here. This one actually has a small tree trunk in this area right here, hence why it's much further than the rest of these. And then the rest of them, you know, we had laid logs at the bottom. This one too. But this one here, I'm gonna have to fill up with loam because we don't have any more. The way that we kept, or the way that we filled these is once I finished this one, I took dirt from this row, moved it here. We built this box, then we took dirt from this row, moved it here, and so forth. What happened is that left this box with almost no dirt in it. So, but it is done. I am very excited. Jennifer is very excited. You know, the rows worked. They were really awesome. We got a lot of food out of them. Unfortunately, though, with us wanting to be self-sufficient, the rows weren't going to suffice. So by building the raised beds, it allows us to double the production that we had in these rows. And what I mean by that is in the row, we were able to plant 2 rows of veggies. Now we can plant 4 rows in one box. 4 rows, 1 box, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's gonna give us 16 rows of produce, whereas before we only had 2, 4, 6, 8. So now when these boards do start to rot away, and they will, even though they are cedar, they will rot over time. I can easily simply unscrew it, take the rotten board off, put a new board on it, and be done with it. So, which is pretty exciting. The other thing, because these things are so long, about 20 to 23 feet each, we did have to put these cross members in just to keep it from bowing out. Now, the majority of the weight in these boxes is downward pressure, but there is some outward pressure, and just to help prevent these things from blowing out, we just put the boards on. So, well, that'll do it for this video. We really appreciate you folks sticking around and watching it. It is the start of the 2024 garden season. We have a ton of things going on in the garden this year. We hope that you're going to stick around and watch them with us. And yeah, enjoy your day. Thanks a lot for sticking around and watching the video. If you liked it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you folks on the next video.